my Battle Builder HUD fans. Yes, we do have the 3 o'clock Tesla again. Let me tell you a little secret. And yes, I saved a valve for the 3 o'clock Tesla corner. Welcome back to the channel, guys. I have to wish you a happy Clashiversary. So if you've been living under a rock and didn't hit that button with the shield on it, you've been missing out because there's some challenges and rewards that you can get. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And starting from 2012, and it goes all the way up. You earn prizes, you earn even a scenery. So this is free that you're getting. So look as we go up, 2018, 19, 20, 21, and then question mark, exclamation point, the final Clash version. So we're going to go over that today, starting with 2012. So we start off here with Town Hall 8 in 2012, and we've essentially got G-Barch to work with. So we've got, G-Go-Barch? So we've got giants, barbarians, archers, and goblins. It's kind of the basic, even though we're in Town Hall 8, you know, this smaller base. This was the basics of Clash of Clans back in the day when you were first learning to battle, but not at Town Hall 8. That's when we, you know, were working with dragons and hogs and Lalos and really trying to refine what we had learned from Town Hall 7 prior to that. So the way that I went about this, and we'll get going with it, is getting in the wall breaks with the giants, surrounding them with the Barch. I mean, the Barch is really important in this. The giants have to take some of the tank, but you need to continuously move them around and you want to get into different areas. So I decided to come in from the 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock corner, as you see here, with the giants flanking, but also using them on the outside and providing enough power from the wall breaker to get into the bottom side where the mortar relies, because those mortars, they have a lot of range and they are deadly. So you want to make sure that your giants stay alive. Spreading them out does happen, especially if there's any splash like those mortars. That definitely makes a big difference. Springtrap you can see here along the way, but I had enough giants to do the tanking that I needed, and you can see down on the bottom side here of the screen where the giant is going in and actually tanking while the goblins are actually working on the outside. The archers are taking care of cleanup, and I've got troops working inside the base where the focus of the defenses are not at bay. So that cannon finally turning around, but the giants there to tank. Down at the bottom, still working their way through. So this is the way that I've gone about it in order to successfully go through Town Hall 12 challenge and start earning my 3 stars. I'm curious to know how you earned your 3 stars, if you did a different approach or if you did something similar. So leave a comment for this one in the comments section below and let me know how it went. So we move up the list to 2013, and this is where we have Town Hall 9. I actually like the scenery for this because Town Hall 9 was a darker town hall when it came out. So it's kind of fitting. One thing also that I started realizing once I hit this level is that there's a little joke in there. There's a little secret. There's always there's always a Tesla at 3 o'clock, and that's either an ode to Chief Pat, who loved having those Teslas in the corner to throw people off, as it was the last thing and could actually do you in on time. But also, I think 11 Original had a clan called Tesla at 3. So either way, nice homage paid to either of those OGs. But let's talk about the way that I went through this and look at the base overall. So you have the archers to work with, you know, and you've got your wizards, your P.E.K.K.A.s, and your 4 golems, almost like an avalanche, you know, to kind of work with, but you really need the tank coming in. And the best way that I found to do this was to take that jump initially, get easy access inside the base and really extend it, drop that rage, get the golems taking the lead, because remember, you need your P.E.K.K.A.s working behind, but you also need your super wizards working behind. I did decide to hold off on 2 archers. I didn't deal with the Tesla at 3 o'clock quite yet, because there's a lot to deal with, especially especially with the Expos. You've got those ground range Expos firing away and picking off. But the jump connection here, if you jump through the core of the base, is actually perfectly centralized to get you through to the majority of what you need. And with 4 golems, it's more than enough, especially if your P.E.K.K.A.s take the outside corner, and the wizards can do the work outside. So think of it as a smash style attack, just a different kind of version and not having the heroes. And you really have to try and self-funnel it in, which can be very difficult when you don't have the means to do it. So that's the way I was able to complete this one for Town Hall 9 in 2013, and get the job done here. And again, we can't forget that pesky 3 o'clock Tesla as everything finishes up here. A little close, a little hairy, as you can see, but there are still golems alive. There's a P.E.K.K.A. alive and wizards still working through. And obviously the need to go back in the base because there is work through coming in, but a minute and 33, that is more than enough time to really get the job done and finish this off. So again, curious to know how you went about it, what your technique was for this, who you found helped you the most in getting through this challenge, or if you think this is an easier way of doing it if you have struggled with it. I did this a couple of times. This one took me a couple of tries actually to get through, to find the right way to go about it, because I'm so used to having heroes to work with, and you don't have that in this occasion. They make it a little bit challenging to get through. And now here we go, 99%, of course. There's that troll Tesla all the way hidden to the 3 o'clock corner. And in a base like this, it's actually hard to see. You would almost need a spotter. That's when I started realizing, okay, so I've got to be on the lookout for these Teslas. So be on the lookout for the Teslas if you're still doing these challenges and struggling. So it takes a little time to get through, but we eventually get there in the time needed as the clock is ticking, and get the job done. Again, picking up that 3 star so we can continuously work up the board, because you need those 3 stars. You need those stars to get the challenges complete, especially if you want the skin. And just getting to that Tesla does it. And there you go. More points added to the board. Now with 2014, we have Town Hall 10 and we finally have heroes. But we only have 3 lightning spells, and I played around with this a couple different angles to try and get through, find the best options for this. And again, you have no idea what's in your siege barracks. So they give you no clue as to what happens. So it's just, you have to figure out the best combination with the troops. And I will say Lalo is not my best suited item, but we've got 4 hounds to tank and 17 loons, only 17 loons with 4 hounds. So the heroes have to do a lot of work within this one. Using the archers, you can see here trying to start building up that funnel where it makes sense to start working, bringing that wizard along so we're not worrying about time because we're out of range of the majority of the defenses, including those mortars. So this is a great opportunity to funnel your way in to the opposite side of the base. And I will say, a lot of people ask, why not start from the town hall? Well, these are the anti 3-star style bases that you see, where the town hall is more on the outside, and typically you want to come in from the opposite side of the base with your power and save coming around. And Town Hall 10, we don't have the weaponized town hall quite yet, so it's not as much of a risk. So you can see we're sending in the wall breakers to come through, open up those corners, get the king in. I lightning out some of the troops coming out of the CC along with the Expo, which is providing a lot of heat and damage. Now with the king down, it's up to the queen to try and take care of the splash around. That's something you want to worry about with Lalo's, wizard towers, multi-targeting infernos, all these different kinds of things that actually wind up causing issues for the loons. Any splash damage item is going to be a big issue no matter how many hounds you have. So I started the front line here with the hounds, decided to back them up because we've created almost that L shape that we typically look for in a Lalo. Rage them up early, get them going, because the hounds are providing a lot of tank, also soaking up a lot of the traps, taking the heat from the heroes while the loons sneak in and come in defensively. And while that's going, minions are backing up behind for cleanup, as we normally do with Lalo. So this is a very straightforward approach of going about it. but it's deciding where to use your heroes in the correct position and which way to Lalo. And we see this a lot now in Town Hall 14, where we see Lalos running through the Town Hall, which are weaponized, but wardens are saved for that. In this case, we're fine doing this, especially since we're coming in on the back end of a single targeting Inferno. Now, yes, I did miss that Wizard Tower there. Yes, we do have the 3 o'clock Tesla again to worry about, but I had the Loon power and the Pup power to actually get the job done. And you can see again, this is a matter of time, 41 seconds left. There's that pesky Tesla, and you can see the up and down sign too pointing at it. I think they're trying to give hints there little by little. So definitely fun little event to go through. So this is the third one that we want to 3-star, so we can continue on, start earning our points, start getting what we want out of it, especially that pixel skin. So let me know how you did and what approaches helped you, which creators helped you with this particular base, which you found the best solution for. I'm always interested in hearing your comments and thoughts, which you can put in the comment section below. But this one was kind of a blast from the past for me, and I laloed. Woohoo! Okay, this was another pesky one, and I love Valk, so I was excited to see this, but it was much more daunting than I thought it would be. But what I will start off with saying is one of the keys to this is what the pros do. It's the use of your heroes, the patience that you have with them, and how you use them, and their abilities and patience of spells. So this is really important. And what I love about this is we have the Octaquake, so we have ways to open. So you have to figure out where the best option is. And you need to understand the concept of where the traps are, timing the Warden ability to give this the safest value, and understanding how quickly the Valks can work through. But the main objective is to keep the healers alive to the back end. So for this, I actually start coming in from the 9 o'clock side of the base, as you can see here with the Warden. And he's in range of 1 of the expos, just 1. So you have to be careful of placement so he doesn't take on too much. I then use the 4 Quakes to start opening up some pathing because I want to get Valks in, but I also want to start eliminating some of those eagles because they continuously fire away. This does mean that my Valks will cross over some bomb pathing, so I have to reserve the Warden ability for this, but I have to be mindful since there's no rages that the Warden isn't taking on too much heat. So the position is very, very specific, especially since you have skelly traps around to worry about at the same time. So this is also about timing, but this is where you see the pro players are using their heroes to extend so they can swag things. So I have a Valk working through helping with the skellies. You can see the hogs starting to come in, and yes, I pulled the CC, but at the same time I dropped the poison to slow down the CC coming out. The hogs are already working on the Infernos to get them down, and here come the Valks. They're able to work through, cut across, and again, yes, they have to cut down. We have some hogs working through the bottom side. I reserve a few to come in to work through down below where the other Valks are, so I can hold that Warden ability a little bit later. And then I quick open the access into the single targeting Inferno compartment. And that's where we see Skelly, so you do have to be careful. And here's that Warden ability. Look at him come back. He spares those Valks that I have, that I need coming through, and the healers are still alive and working with them. They even transfer over. So now the Valks are spread around. They're working through the storages, and this is where I've saved my haste to try and speed them through because we've got storages, we've got single targeting Infernos, and we've got Skellies that are holding them up. The single and targeting Infernos don't do much until you have the Skellies stalling them because the Valks can whip their way through, but when there's distraction, they can't. So you want to save those spells to the end and keep those healers going. The healers take a little bit longer, you know, to die out, so we have some to spare here towards the tail end of the base. Keep those Valks alive, get through, and we were able to finish the job. And again, I'm curious your way of going about it, who you found did differently, but this was the way, after multiple tries, different angles of coming in, that I was able to get the job done. And yes, I saved a Valk for the 3 o'clock Tesla corner. 2016 brings us to Town Hall 11, a Town Hall I remember quite well when I used to play back with 11 original. I was actually a 10 for a while, and they asked me to move up to 11. I still have a hybrid guide, which was one of my favorite things to learn from Eve Kala and Eve Maxey. That's one of the strategies that they taught me. I have to give huge credit to Eve Kala, actually, because he really helped me refine it to perfection at the time when I was playing competitively with them. So let's take a look at this, because we've got, as you can see, minors, which, is what you want to use in Town Hall 11. Not a bad thing to use. We even have a bowler. We've got skellies. We've got our warden, hero, king. Again, we don't know what's in the CC. But I like the bowler because that's where I look around for bounceable options to see where we can help create pathing. Now, for me, this was all, again, we're not dealing with a weaponized Town Hall in Town Hall 11, but it's all about finding the right opportunity to come in from and shape it up the way we would with a hybrid or any sort of minor attack. And the reason for that is because minors tend to spread. So you need to set up a proper funnel. If minors go all along a path, they're going to get distracted. They work better in pairings. Plus, you can use those heals to the best of your ability. You also have 3 rages. So these can be used for heroes, but they can also be used for the minors. You just don't necessarily want to overlap them completely, because you don't want to fail out on the heal unless you're in a section that is heavily saturated with defenses for them to get through, and you want them to speed through, but they'll have the time to make work of the heal. So let's take a look at the approach in coming in with this. So the baby drag is key for me for funneling for this. I love my baby drags, and you can see I already start on the exterior where we had the anchor actually of the Tesla here. So the baby drag is my funnel for not only the queen, but the king as well, to force him into the defending queen section so that I can create a path for my minors and start pushing them along a path in a direction and keep that queen charge or walk rather, forcing along the outside edge. So we use the anchor on the outside edge to keep this going. And we bring in our king and the baby drags, obviously, to help set up that funnel, force that king in, pop an early ability because we really want to make sure that he powers through this. And we hold and reserve those rages for this queen charge. But we do bring in the warden with the minors because this is basically, when you think about hybrids and minors, that warden is an extra heal spell for you. Often, more times than not, when you come in heavily saturated areas defensively, like we are, we do want to drop heals initially. You can use your warden, but those are best served in even higher defensive areas. So the heal is really satisfactory here, especially as the king's trying to take down the air defense, and we've cleared out most of the path to allow the hybrid to move along the outskirts. And don't forget, we have that siege barracks, which actually has hogs, which is perfect. So we come in. The hybrid's moving along. Queen, I get her under rage, get her under control without having to pop the ability. So there is a lot of multitasking here to get to that eagle, and that's what I want that queen to take down. I pop the warden ability here because the eagle is firing away, plus there is a lot of damage coming in, and we need to get into the next section where the king is coming in from. So I use the loons to keep the funneling pathing. We don't care about the town hall so much, and obviously we have that ring around it to surpass it. We have an easier route to get around to the outside edge of the base and drop that final heal as we get into some of the back end quadrant. And look at this. If I pause it right here, you can see the queen is in range of that single targeting inferno. Those you have to be careful of with your heroes. Why? Because single targeting infernos are the death of heroes. Any high hit point item, including your heroes, will die faster than smaller units like hogs and miners and loons. It's the multi-targeting infernos that cause less damage and deal it over less time, so you can work through those faster. So these skelly spells are meant to be used for distraction, and that's exactly where I used it for the queen, to get her through, because we've got the open compartments, rage her up to try and move her fast while that single is actually distracted by the skellies. So we rage her up, push her through, and get her in for cleanup. And now you can see that the healers are actually taking the brunt of the force. We're able to save the queen ability. Again, be on top of your queen. This is where you're starting to see, as you get up the tiers into pro level. If you're not at this level yet, this is going to give you some of the practice and see the differences of, if you're a Town Hall 8, 9, and you're watching esports, this is the multitasking that starts coming into play here. Watching your queen, watching those abilities, making sure you have them for the very end. And yes, we have Teslas to deal with, but we've got the miners to cut through, come in, do the job, and we've got that queen ability that we can actually spare and save and get our 3-star. But tell me how you went about it, if you went similarly or if you had a completely different approach that worked for you in the comments below. But let's take a look at the next year and challenge. Where are my Battle Builder HUD fans out there that have been asking for more levels? Because you have it here, and I will say I'm not the best. I've kind of neglected mine. Don't hate. So for the Battle Builder challenge, you'll have to forgive me. Not my forte here, but we did wind up having the 20 minions, the 3 baby dragons, and then I don't know the name because I'm not this high level in Battle Builder HUD, because I don't really play it unless I need to do challenges or anything like that, or a gold pass, or clan games. So this was a little different for me. I had to learn the loons. I came in from a couple different angles trying to play it out which way, but I did neglect the Troll Tesla at 3 and left that to the very end, which can run you the risk of time, but it's definitely worth it. And I decided to come in from the bottom side of the base. We have a lot of ground that the Battle Builder cannot deal with himself alone. Now, your instinct initially would be to come in with the air on the air side to take that down, but that does not benefit the Battle Builder. So I send a swarm of the minions. I spread out the loons to really start clearing out those paths and continue to keep popping that ability. I mean, for anybody who doesn't know, using these Battle Builders, you really need to get those starts going with them and keep them alive and really get that timing going. But coming in and eliminating the ground troops gives him the power that he needs to get through those heavy hitting defenses, like the flame mortars and the flame shooters, the mortars. I don't know the names of these, but I managed to get it done. So you got to at least give me props for that. And you can see, keeping him alive, keeping the health full, and this was the most effective way. He was like one of the last things that I had remaining, other than the skellies that dropped from the loons to help out with the cleanup. And the biggest worry, obviously, here is having that Stomper, Crusher, Thrusher, the thing that goes boom, and crushes your guy. But this is why you want to have full health, and coming in from this angle is a reasonable option to come in from, because you can keep him out of harm's way. And this is perfect because he actually has to walk out, so he walks away temporarily from the defenses and gives me enough time to actually pop this ability and get him back to health while I still have minions working on those defenses, that final cannon there. And of course, we have to make our way to the 3 o'clock side, but we've got plenty of time. Minute 12 on the clock, getting this done. I don't know if this is how you guys wound up doing your own. I'd love to hear your thoughts, the way that you went about it, but this was the way that I decided to finally make it work, because I came in from all different angles, and this was the one that actually worked for me. And I kept my Battle Builder guy alive, and I got that Troll Tesla. And look at that. We get to pop in the end and kind of swag it. So perfect finish for Battle Builder HUD. Now let's move on to 2018. So 2018 is a little nostalgic for me, as it was the first time I was featured playing Clash of Clans live for the reveal of Town Hall 12 and the siege machines that came along with it. So you can see here we have the siege machine, and we've got our very first weaponized Town Hall. So this was a lot of fun, and I had a lot of great memories. The one thing that I will say is I'm terrible with bats. I never really use them, and when you're using things like loons or dragons, you need to try and keep those bats away from them, because that would pull up the traps that would wind up actually affecting the bats. Like if a tornado trap crops up, that could actually swoop the bats and kill them. If you have any bombs that pop up, will kill them. So this is where you need to try and avoid and use them strategically, but also have a plan for where you're coming in from, particularly if there's any splash damage to use. But we do not have a royal champ here. We just have the king, the queen, the warden. We have a blimp, and we've got E-drags. E-drags are all the rage right now. Very powerful, particularly in Town Hall 12. We've seen from the Indian community what they're bringing with those E-drags, and they are doing phenomenal work. Even Strut doing great work with that. So let's take a look at the approach that I come in with. The one thing I will say, which I have talked about in Clash lessons with players, when you use your E-drags, you really need to set up a funnel from either side. So you have a baby drag that you can work with. Obviously, the baby drag, it becomes ineffective if you get it too close. But you want a good spread on your dragons. You don't want to clump them in one place. So I use the baby drag to actually start taking care of the outside of the base and that troll Tesla. Start setting up my funnel. And with any drag attack, you want to use your heroes as support. And you also want to use the loons to start off with. So let's pause it right here for a second. Those loons are your protective front line for any dragon style attack, including the E-drags. And what you want to typically do is drop 2 rages with the spread out. Like I said, don't ever clump. You want to spread them out, drop 2 rages down, and pop that warden ability typically early because you need to get through. But you also want to time it to help with any heroes along the way if you have headhunters typically. But in this case, and most cases, if you're coming through towards that town hall, you need the blimp to come in and help. So this is about the timing when you want to pop that warden ability. But it's typically right after you drop the rages and you start making your pathing coming in. So we've got the bats still at play. We've got the king going through, who's taking the lead. Queen, we popped the ability early, but here comes that warden ability coming in. The drags have actually worked through. The blimp doesn't get the value of the actual pop of the warden's ability. However, the E-drags have cleared the path for the most part of any potential traps, and we're able to get over top, freeze up the radius, and cover over and clear out the town hall. And we still have E-drags left over to continue. So this gives me the opportunity to start sending in the bats. And yes, I didn't listen to myself fully. I dropped a couple of bats on the side, but then I was like, wait. Let's get them away from the dragons and then bring them up from the northern side of the base where we don't have any splash to worry about, as the E-drags are taking care of it from the bottom 9 o'clock side. So you can see how easily that's taken care of. Bats work through perfectly on singles. There's no multis to worry about. So this was the easiest way. And you can see lots left over here with the E-drags, the warden, and the bats here for cleanup, and plenty of time on the clock to get through. But you can see it's bat shape. It's all about the bats. But this was a fun one to do, especially with E-drags being the fashion for Town Hall 11. Okay, so let me tell you a little secret here. There are hidden clues on the board that tell you actually what to do. Now, you might notice some tombstones around the scatter shots, and you have 8 skelly spells, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that is a huge clue in this one as to what you should do. But what it's really going to rely on is the timing, the placement, how you're using your archers and your yetis and your wall breakers, and also saving that heal. So this one is going to require going through quickly. So we've got 8 scatter shots that we need to get through where all of those tombs are. So that's what we want to get through. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That saves us 1 more skeleton spell to help out on the inner corner of the 3 o'clock side of the base. So we come through, and you can see from the bottom side, the 1 skelly spell is still able to make its way through and take on the scatter shots from those corners. But we want to reserve it because we want to give the opportunity for the yetis to actually come in at a certain angle and work their way through. So I'm patient before I drop the skellies. I want to make sure that everything is cleaned up and taken down, and that the skellies are doing cleanup along the outside of the base. But those placements of the tombstones are critical and key in getting it done, and also using your archers in a timely fashion. I do use a yeti and a wall break. I get some yetis working their way in from here, working alongside as the skellies are taking everything out. And I also want to fashion the position that they push into the core of the base so that they get to the town hall, and that is coming in from the side, and that's ensuring that they can work their way around and get down to this to the elixir storage, so they can then work their way through and get up into the core of the base. Now we do have to deal with the Yetis coming out. The Skellies are a great distraction, so it's good to have that, but obviously drop the poison so you can keep the Yetis going. But that heal that I talked about, this is where you want to use it, because again, weaponized Town Hall with Town Hall 13 here that we need to get through and keep those Yetis and Yetimites going. We want to get them into the core, but they've got to be through the walls. We need to keep the Yetimites alive. So you want to get that spread and help them work their way through, but you also want to keep this going. Skelly's still working along, doing great job. We've got the archers trying to make their way in, but it's the Skellies that are the true heroes here in getting the job done. And those Yetis, of course, getting into the Town Hall. So don't forget, use those tombstones as a key, go around with them, get those archers down. Do not drop your Yetis until those scatter shots are down and everything is cleaned up along the outskirts, so you can keep the focus and get your Skellies to actually work alongside with your Yetis inside the base, because once those scatters are down, there's nothing else to worry about except the Town Hall, and that's where you save the heal for. So again, curious to know what you did with yours, if this worked for you, how quickly it took you to figure it out as well with the secret, if you figured it out at all. But that's what I found out with this one, and it worked out very nicely. So this was a fun one. I actually really like the challenge with this and the hidden secret. So let's move on to the next. Now we hit 2020 and we have Town Hall 13 here. Q1, and we have Town Hall 12 here. And this time we're using Inferno Drags, which are actually still viable, particularly in Town Hall 14. And I cast a lot of these. Some variations with the Inferno Drag Riders, but definitely seeing more and more of those coming through. So this was a fun one to do, but you have to know what's in the blimp. I mean, it's not easy to do it in one go if you don't know what you actually have in your blimp. That kind of puts you in a blind spot because you don't know what spells to use, what combinations. But I will tell you, there are Yetis, and raged up Yetis into a Town Hall is a wonderful thing. And of course, we have 14 loons to help take the front line, but this can also help with getting that blimp securely in place, picking up any possible traps if you want to come in with an early blimp. And because we have the Yetis in there, this is a little bit easier to get through. You ideally want to clear out the value of the Town Hall and some of the surrounding defenses, but you have resistance coming in from that air sweeper, so keep that in mind. Those loons coming in helping to, soak up some of the defenses so we can get right over the Town Hall, rage down as fast as we possibly can, take down that Town Hall, and sweep those Yetis to clear out the pathing that we need for the drag riders. And just as we talked about the E-drags in the attack, the drag riders are the Inferno drags are the same thing. Any kind of dragon. You want to start off with a funnel, get your loon set up in the front line, and then drop your E-drags right in between the meat to start pulling through. You get your warden behind, you use your king and your queen. You can delay them depending what's being targeted, but your king should take the majority of the focus if ideally the defenses on the outsides aren't worked. You can see I've popped my warden ability to get through early on, especially since we're being targeted by that eagle, which is in the bottom side of the base. But we've got to use those skellies to distract, and we need to use them against the single targeting infernos, the splash damage, help out the heroes as well. And we need to get to the bottom side of the base and work through into that eagle compartment and get in there. And that's where our royal champ really comes in to help for some of the backside of the base. We often reserve our royal champs for this in order to take down some of the heavier targeting defenses, such as scatter shots, single targeting infernos, or even eagles that are pesky. So because we have the full push of the heroes working together and the inferno drags, we bring in the royal champ here so that she's actually getting more power out of this. But we also have a freeze and the 2 skelly spells for distraction, which is perfect as she makes the approach to the defending AQ, the splash damage, and that single targeting inferno, because it reallocates their distraction and allows a royal champ to hold on to that ability and get through into that single where we worry about the most. Plus, we also have that freeze that we can use if we get into a tough situation, and her ability that we've held on to because we allowed her to work alongside with those inferno drags with the power of the troops. So a lot of times when you're using your royal champ, you have to think where she's going to get the most value intended out of it. So holding on to this freeze was huge because I was able to burn her ability down to the very end and get through into those defenses, get those shots out. And of course, with a Royal Champ, you get about a 75% regenerative boost to her health, to her hit points, which is perfect because that is what you want. You want to use her to the very end and have that ability to take care of cleanup. And that's how you get the job done on this one. Let me know how you did it. 2022 brings us to Town Hall 14, and with that, we even have the Flame Flinger, which is very exciting. Nice to see the Flame Flinger in action. We know that it works very well, but for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, it does do a lot of damage. It works really well, but you have to be mindful of a few key things. That would be Teslas that are hidden, so you don't know where they are, and mortars and expos, which actually can outrange the reach of it. So those are the only two defensive items that you typically have to worry about. Now, in cases where we're watching esports and players going about it, or even Legends League, you'll wind up using barbarians if you want to come in from a section with a mortar. But here, we're not actually worrying about that. We're going to use it to start opening up the passage to the town hall and start shaping up our funnel. And that's how I went about this approach. So I send in some rocket loons from either side to get the defensive area taken down. So yes, we did have to worry about that. So rocket loons were the perfect opportunity to start sectioning that off and get the aim on target straight ahead towards that town hall to come out. And yes, we do have these super dragons, which are definitely still very powerful in work. I'm not a huge fan of the Stadra approach, where Stadra would go into the town hall with his dragons, but sometimes you have no option with that approach. But what does remain constant is typically how you use the heroes. In this case, however, I use the king to go for the scatter shot, baby drag to funnel him in, and try and take out that compartment to alleviate a lot of pressure, because we are going for the town hall relatively early here, and get that dragon funnel set up a little bit nicer. We only have 6 of those super drags, so we need to spread them across nicely. Make sure your warden's on air. We get rage ready to go, so we can pop those down equally side by side. And look at that, coming out of the siege barracks, we have the dragons working through with the drag riders to take this on. Now, a freeze is needed, as you have the Royal Champ there, you have the Giga Inferno that you have to worry about, but we're able to take them down and sacrifice that. But we still have enough dragons that were spread out to come through the core of the base through the multis. Now, I will explain that again, we talked about high hit point structures, infernos, or high hit point troops, do not do well against single targeting infernos. Same with heroes, because they're high hit points. So high hit point troops then do okay with things like multi-targeting infernos, unless there are things like storages or air sweepers or things that are pushing them away. So we want to use the air sweeper to hold off the pushback from the dragons in this case to get through those multis. But you can see we still have the yak alive and well, which is actually working with the queen. We don't get the selection on this. This is what Supercell gives us. And we freeze up the eagle as well to try and give some opportunity. The queen's got an opening in that 12 o'clock compartment where we do have the splash damage, but it's also reachable for her from the walls. And we send in the Royal Champ to help where the cleanup is needed and finish off the job. And this was the easiest and best approach with so much power left over. So if you were ever skeptical about the use of super dragons, they are still overpowered and dynamic, and you can use them this way, and you don't always need to use the king for the initial funnel with the queen. So from 2012, working all the way up to 2022, where we have that question mark, an exclamation point, and it says Clash, and we've got something new to come in. So this is all about using the heroes. When we look at this, you can expect that there's probably lots of traps. It looks a little wonky, a little hard to get through. So let's talk about how we actually get through this. But we also get to see the pixel scenery. So for all you Minecraft fans out there and who love seeing the pixelated versions, when you do this challenge, you actually earn it for free. So this is a nice item and takeaway that is given through the challenges. Now, we do have some clan capital features in here, obviously. And what I will go back to is the point of how the pros use their heroes. And this is where you see the difference that knowing how to use your heroes can actually make. So these capital buildings, we actually have to take down. It's not just like the CC. It's not just the, the goblin hut up there. It's more than that. Your job is not done. And there are a lot of traps along the way. So the way I went about this is by selecting my warden, using him on ground. I had been toying between the difference of air and ground, but opted to go for ground with this to help the heroes. So Warden starts off the walk here. We have no healers. This is just the heroes alone. And you'll notice that we have our pixel heroes with this as well. So I join them together. This is actually something that we're seeing a lot of in Town Hall 14, the adjoinment of heroes working together with that Warden ability, because there is a lot of power that relies in heroes alongside of their pets. And no, the pets are not pixelated, as you already know, but it does get you through the majority of this. And this is where you start seeing the traps. And this is a blast from the past because we got the Shrinky Dinks. So that makes our heroes a little bit smaller. This is a trap from like way back in the day. I can't even remember. We've got sneaky gobs coming out trying to charge us, but we use the Warden ability early and we bring in the Royal Champ to start helping out. But this allows us to spare the King and Queen ability. We want to compartmentalize them together, but also use that Royal Champ for some of the outskirts as we lead the pass and push the brunt of the force forward into the core of the base. The Royal Champ obviously can work on her own very well. She has Lassie, who takes the lead, which is very nice to help her out, and also spares that ability a little bit longer. But that Warden ability early is a must. Holding off on the King as you can, because you get a nice regenerative boost from him as well, as you do with the Royal Champion. But again, watch those Shrinky Dinks, those tornado traps. But Lassie was a trooper on this one for sure. Queen did a lot of work, was definitely protected here by the unicorn, but ruh-roh. Look at all these Teslas on the back end. We've burned through 2 abilities already. King's dying out. Warden's still alive. We've got the RC, but her ability is low and she's taken on some heat, but she's now down at the bottom here. So it's trying to avoid those traps and waiting to use this as long as possible. We've got the Queen ability as well, but these Teslas will go down with her seeking shield. So we want to wait as long as possible, get that regenerative boost. Look at that nice launch across the base, while the 3 o'clock Tesla is still sitting there in the corner. But the Royal Champ does get that nice healthy boost. The Queen's burned through her ability to try and help out. Electro Owl doing some work. And we've got the Royal Champ to finish the job off with the Warden, with the Queen, and with the archers moving their way through. So the King was the only thing that died out for me in the Yak, and Lassie, of course, sadly. But this was a fun one, and I hope you enjoyed the challenge. And I want to know if you went about it the same way. I hope you enjoyed all of the challenges. It's been a lot of fun, but we do have another challenge to talk about where you can earn a skin for free. So let's talk about those features as well. And again, I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments, what you think about my approach versus what you've seen or done, and what has helped you. So leave those in the comment section below. So here's a special thing. Once you complete that entire challenge is when you actually get the Pixel King. So if you can complete everything, you not only get the pixel scenery, but that is the way that you can get a free King skin. And I know there are tons of you out there from my Royal Champion video that were looking forward to the King skin. So this is a great opportunity for you to get some free items without having to pay. But again, if you're looking for the collection, it is here available in the store. And if you are making those in-game purchases, don't forget to use a creator code and support some of your favorite creators. If you'd like to support me, you can use code LadyB. But that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, a little bit lengthier than usual, but it was a lot of fun. Arcades were a lot of fun, and I'd love your feedback. Until next time, this is LadyB. I'll catch you guys later.